Jean Alesi is the form man in qualifying, but he's grown a reputation for failing to convert into race wins. Let's see if he can turn the tide in the 1994 Canadian Grand Prix. Hello everybody and welcome to the 6th round of the 1994 season for the Canadian Grand Prix here on F1 Challenge. We head to the circuit Gilles Villeneuve today, a track of a rare breed consisting of a hybrid of permanent and street elements. The circuit has been heavily modified for this season, with the third sector altered massively. If you missed the last episode at the Spanish Grand Prix, I would highly suggest checking that one out before watching this one, with wet and wild conditions playing a part to chaos. Going into this round, Damon Hill leads with 32 points, but is being hunted down by the Benetton of Michael Schumacher, now 6 points adrift. The Ferraris have shown outright speed in recent rounds and they'll be hoping to capitalise on that pace, already being on the back foot in the standings. We currently sit in 11th with 3 points. In the Constructors, Benetton hold a slender lead ahead of the reigning champions Williams. Ferrari are also not far behind, and as the season has shown us so far, the title could be taken by any of the top three. We'll be hoping to get back into the points once again. With a failure to capitalise on recent rounds, Sauber are currently languishing in 8th in the standings. Canada is often a circuit that can throw up a crazy result. We'll be hoping that is no exception. We'll just aspire to get back into the top 6 once again. Also, make sure to check out YouTube channel memberships for exclusive perks thanks to these guys who have already joined. Now let's head into the news of the week. Hello and welcome to the Canadian edition of the News of the Week. Let's get right into it. The Spanish Grand Prix saw a spectacular drive from Michael Schumacher in the rain, where he started 9th and won the race in front of Damon Hill after an amazing recovery drive. He was delighted with that result, having closed the gap to the championship lead down to 6 points. Someone who isn't as happy with their recent results will be Peter Sauber, whose team hasn't scored a point since the Pacific Grand Prix. Constant mistakes from their driver lineup would suggest possible finger pointing from the team principal. Despite Carl Wendlinger's accidents in Okayama and Barcelona not being his fault, others could have been prevented in San Marino and Monaco. Jaden Harrison, as already established, has developed the tendency to spin his car around. As seen in Spain, he should have probably avoided the dry tyres, but he probably couldn't hear himself thinking, with the grandstands chanting for him to put on his ballerina shoes. That's from Jason Schieber of Divand. Well, even though I'm struggling to find consistency, I feel like the overall pace that we've got is fairly good in the car. In the past 2 rounds, we've actually outqualified our teammate Carl Wendlinger, and that was a major issue at the start of the season. It's just about eliminating all those mistakes, and surely, more often than not, we'll be finishing in the points. A new team will feature on the Formula 1 grid in 1995 in the form of 40 Corsa. The Italian team, similar to Pacific, have made their way through the junior ranks, winning championships in series as prestigious as Italian Formula 3 on several occasions. The team currently competes in Formula 3000, where they have seen relative success but not to the title-winning levels of previous years. The team looks like another that could struggle in the top flight of motorsport, although a decent debut season could prove the critics wrong. The team has announced that they will be powered by the all-new Ford EDD1 V8 engine, a power unit that is expected to make its debut next season. Several drivers have been linked, such as current driver Pedro Diniz, alongside multiple established Italian drivers. It's always very cool to see new teams on the grid. They always bring that unpredictability to Formula 1, but in recent seasons, other than the exception of Jordan and Sauber, we've not really seen any of the new teams actually do much, if anything, and let's hope that 40 can break that trend. Jos Verstappen replaces Roland Ratzenberger ahead of the Canadian Grand Prix to pair David Brabham. Verstappen looks to make his Grand Prix debut in the Simtech. The motive behind the move seems to be financial, with Ratzenberger unable to make enough of an impression to warrant his backing. The Dutchman fetches Benetton sponsorship with him to the team and is expected to be at the team for the foreseeable future. Simtech have not yet qualified for a single Grand Prix so far in their first fledgling season in the sport, but maybe Verstappen can turn the tides at the Minnow outfit. Well, it's quite cool to see such a high potential driver in the form of Jos Verstappen at SimTech. SimTech have been so far away from the rest of the grid. Maybe the Dutchman can solve those issues that they've had and maybe get onto the grid for his debut. Also down at SimTech, it's been no secret that the team have struggled in their debut season in Formula 1, 5 races in, and they have not yet qualified for a single Grand Prix. However, their luck may be about to change. Technical director Nick Worth has been desperately preparing a B-spec car and has now announced that it will arrive for the British Grand Prix. Quote, "We realised that where we went wrong with the last car, and with the S941B, the team is expecting to be quite further up the pecking order. With promising Dutchman Jos Verstappen pairing David Brabham, SimTech could promise to be one of the greatest comeback stories of the season." Well, SimTech fetching a B-spec upgrade, I don't think many would have expected it, but it's certainly something that they needed. With the new promising lineup that they have as well as the backing of David Brabham, it could mean possible qualifications, and who knows, if their car is good enough, maybe challenging for points. Onto the upgrades now, where a lot of suppliers have introduced new engines for this round, with Ferrari, Williams, McLaren, Sauber and Ligier all seeing an increase in horsepower. Ferrari continue their upgrade schedule with a new rear wing in effort to increase downforce. Footwork also follow the same philosophy but introduce a new diffuser also. Another team with a new diffuser is Jordan. LaRousse and Lotus look to increase straight line speed with a body drag upgrade, while Tyrrell look to tackle reliability issues of the Yamaha engine. That's all for the news, now let's head into qualifying. Hello everybody and welcome to a sunny Saturday afternoon here in Montreal. It's qualifying day for the 1994 Canadian Grand Prix. Not a cloud in sight, and we're expecting a fully dry weekend both in Saturday and Sunday. Pedro Lamy sets the benchmark as he goes across the line to go to provisional pole position. We'll head to a brand new version of Circuit Gilles Villeneuve today with a heavily modified final sector. Ayrton Senna beats Pedro Lamy's time to go to pole position himself. So yeah, as we're about to see here, Ayrton Senna going down a massive long straight. That means that the casino chicane has unfortunately vacated the circuit, or I don't know if it's been demolished or not, but we're no longer running that version of the circuit. It's quite a shame because I did enjoy that that part of the circuit at least, as yeah, we'll see here, coming out of the hairpin, so rather than going into a quick right-left chicane, it's just a little right kink, completely flat out, and a massive long straight into the final chicane. It's quite a shame because I enjoyed that chicane. It showed the level of a driver's bravery through that final section of the track. I believe the final chicane's also been tightened up as we now begin our first lap of the qualifying session. Down towards turn 1. I've been struggling on the brakes a little bit in towards turn 1, going a little bit deep, as well as into here. I believe this is turn 5 or turn 6, so they are locked up quite a bit and went a bit wide. Up towards the line to set our first lap of the qualifying session. It's a 1 minute 20.4, so 1.6 seconds off Ayrton Senna's pole time. We'll be hoping to set a time a bit better than that, as we now see Johnny Herbert across the line in the McLaren. He goes to 5th place, which I believe is behind us at this current stage. Michael Schumacher, another driver near towards the front, he goes to 2nd place, replaces us on the front row. This took about 25 minutes to actually happen, and eventually all the front runners went out on circuits. I saw there Jean Alesi goes to 2nd place, but it's still Ayrton Senna on pole position after the first runs, as now we see exiting the pits Jos Verstappen to make his Grand Prix debut. Hopefully for his sake he can qualify. He does, after his first run, qualify down in 22nd place, which unfortunately is slowest of those that have set a lap time so far. Felipe Alio had a brilliant run in his first lap. He goes to 4th place in the McLaren, and he actually goes faster than his main driver role teammate Johnny Herbert, who's a whole 3 places behind him and is several tenths behind him as well. As on the second runs, Jean Alesi goes to pole position. Gerhard Berger on his first run, getting stuck behind one of the Minardis. I believe that's Jean-Marc Gounon in the Minardi. As they head under the bridge, Gerhard Berger gets through on the Minardi, but unfortunately that's going to hold him up quite a bit, and he comes across the line in 9th position, so he's definitely going to need to go out again and set a better lap time. About 40 minutes into the session now, and we're still in the top 6, surprisingly. A few of the front runners, I don't know whether it's due to traffic. Well, with Gerhard Berger it certainly is due to traffic. I think we're just on pace, to be honest. We're quicker than the McLarens, it seems, as it currently stands. First sector shows a 3/10 failure to improve, and then in the middle sector, clip the grass on the entrance into the corner, bowl wide, and as such we just decide to peel off into the pit lane.
You failed to improve your position. You are now
the pit lane is a place where you can gain a lot of time as well, as we head pretty much straight back out on circuit, as we plan to do a double lap. Oh, John Alesi's had a crash. It sounds like my teammate Carl Wendlinger was also involved. Let's see what happened with the French Sicilian. Oh, and that's my teammate running straight into the back of him at the final chicane. Let's see what happened. I think he didn't realise that Jean Alesi was going to brake as much as he did, and as such, that's my teammate's qualifying run over and done with. As now we head into my final qualifying lap of the session. About 15 minutes to go. I'll be hoping for a decent lap time that could possibly put us in the top 6 once again.
down at the first sector. Hill has lost his front wing. You're down at the second sector.
And up towards the line, that's a 4/10 improvement. I was going to push for another lap, as I did say I was going to do 2 consecutive push laps with the laps remaining, but unfortunately too overzealous on the throttle, and it sends us into the wall at turn 2 or turn. I don't know if that's turn 2 or turn 3, but either way, that'll put a pay to our qualifying session. We do move up to 6th place, but unfortunately that crash is pretty much going to put us stop us any chance of improving on our lap time. Here's another replay on board. It was just too much on the throttle, trying to get time that pretty much wasn't there. There wasn't a lot of time to find, even though I fell down by 2/10 in the first sector. As Mark Blundell sets a new lap time, he moves up into 4th position. Gerhard Berger up towards the line. Can he beat his teammate to pole position here today? He fails to do so, but 2nd place will see a Ferrari front row lockout, especially with Michael Schumacher down in 5th. It sounds like the Benetton has got a problem. It does look like he's got a problem. He's going very slowly. That's probably a gearbox failure for Michael Schumacher. Damon Hill currently down in 15th place. He desperately needs a lap time to find himself further up the order for the starting grid. He moves up to 4th place, directly behind his teammates. And that pushes both Benettons outside the top 4. Quite strange to see the Constructors' Championship leaders so far off the pace. My teammate Carl Wendlinger is another driver who needs a good lap after having his previous run ruined by Jean Alesi. He goes up towards the line, goes from 16th all the way up to 9th place, so that's looking good for both Saubers to start in the top 10. Gerhard Berger with another lap, fails to improve, still in second position, so his teammate Jean Alesi still on pole. Michael Schumacher pushing ever so hard in his Benetton. Well, let's see if he's able to challenge the French Sicilian to pole position. He's looking good through the first two sectors, but it was a poor exit out of the hairpin. The checkered flag falls. Let's see where Michael Schumacher can place his Benetton. It's only 5th place. A mistake out the hairpin costs any chance of him getting anywhere close to pole position, and that means over the line comes Jean Alesi to claim his 4th pole position in 6 races. Let's see if he can finally turn it into race victory on Sunday. Hello everybody and welcome to the starting grid of the 1994 Canadian Grand Prix, where you can see that once again it's a Ferrari front row lockout with Jean Alesi taking pole position by a quarter of a second ahead of his teammate Gerhard Berger. It's another top 3 start for Ayrton Senna in the Williams Renault, and it's an all-Williams affair on the second row with Damon Hill starting alongside. It's an all-Benetton third row with Michael Schumacher out-qualifying his teammate Marc Blundell by 0.7 of a second. Then comes ourselves in the best of the rest position of 7th, and Felipe Alio surprisingly getting the advantage over his teammate Johnny Herbert in the battle at McLaren. My teammate Carl Wendlinger completes the top 10, making it 2 Saubers in the top 10 for I believe the second time this season. Martin Brundle sets off from 11th ahead of Rubens Barrichello on the 6th row. Then comes the 2 LaRussas of Olivier Panis and Olivier Beretta. The 2 of them will be hoping to challenge for the points after just missing out in Spain and Monaco. They scored points, however. Yerky Avaleto completes the top 15 with Christian Fittipaldi on row 8. A poor qualifying from Irvine makes him start from 17th ahead of Morbidelli, Lamy and Naguri Suzuki completes the top 20 in the Lotus. Jean-Marc Gounon once again out-qualifies his teammate Andrea Montemini. Let's see if he can put that pace in the race today. Ukio Katayama and Heinz-Harald Frentzen make it an all-Tyrrell 12th row. It's very poor from the British team, and hopefully they can move forward in the Grand Prix. David Coulthard and Bertrand Gachot make it 2 Pacifics through, which means that once again, no matter the drivers, it's Jos Verstappen and David Brabham, the 2 Simtex, knocked out again for Sunday's race. We're on a one-stop strategy today, stopping on lap 33, and they're going to the end of a 69-lap race. It's dry conditions in Canada, but who knows what can happen today. Hopefully we can get into the points once again.
Hello there. Welcome to Canada. The weather, as so often is the case here, is just wonderful.
And now we await the lights to start the 1994 Canadian Grand Prix. There they are, up ahead. 7th place we're starting from. Oh, that's a little jump start there. The lights are green, there's racing to be seen. We're going to lose out to both McLarens in towards turn 1 thanks to that little mishap that we had. There goes one of the McLarens up the inside of Marc Blundell. That's Felipe Alio. The other McLaren of Johnny Herbert's looking towards the inside of his compatriot. It's spun around though on the exit of turn 2, and we get back that 8th position. I wonder how the stewards are going to feel about us possibly jumping the start there, as we've got Carl Wendlinger directly behind us, so he's made up a place as well, of course, on Johnny Herbert. I don't know how far down he's fallen down, as Christian Fittipaldi's run into problems at the back, and I think Andrea Montemini has as well. He has indeed. Andrea Montemini and Christian Fittipaldi both seem to have stalled on the grid, and that's going to be the end of their Grand Prix before it's even begun. Johnny Herbert in the run in towards turn 1. He's looking towards the inside of Marc Blundell. Just hits the back of him, spins around, and that's going to put the Briton all the way down in last place. He's got a tall order now if he wants to score any championship points today. as he now rejoins the track. Fortunately, no damage for Johnny Herbert, but he's got a long race ahead of him now. I'm already realising that I've not got the pace to match my teammate Carl Wendlinger, so I let him through at the hairpin and allow him to push ahead to try and catch the two in front, as we've been given a drive-through penalty for jumping the start, even though we were quite far back in our pit box, and we did stop once again in time, still in our pit box. We decided to just peel it into the pits, nearly hitting my teammate there in the process. And into the pits we come for an unscheduled, well, not pit stop, but a run through the pit lane, and we re-emerge in 17th, maybe 18th. It'll be 18th place. We can't get through on a Guru Suzuki onto the run into turn 1. Leading out of the first lap is Jean Alesi. He leads his teammate Gerhard Berger in a Ferrari 1-2. Then goes the two Williams of Ayrton Senna and Damon Hill. Michael Schumacher completes the top 5 with Felipe Alio up into the points. He's looking like the best chance to score points for McLaren today, which isn't normally what could be said. My teammate Carl Wendlinger up in 8th with Gianni Morbidelli, Pedro Lamy and Olivier Panis all gaining 4 places off that start, the most out of anyone in the top 15. My teammate Carl Wendlinger all over the back of Alio and Blundell. There goes Blundell spinning round off the back of the McLaren Lamborghini, and my teammate Carl Wendlinger moves up to 7th, maybe even 6th, as he has a brilliant run in towards the hairpin. Can he make Alio pay the price? Looking towards the inside, he's tried barging his way through, he's lost the rear on the exit of the corner though. He can't quite gain the place, but Alio is looking like a rolling roadblock right now as we look towards the inside of Guru Suzuki. Not quite, we bail out of that one, nearly hit the back of him as a result. But fortunately that does not happen. We stay in 18th place for now. Lap 3, we'll see if we can set this move up through the chicane. There seems to be a bit of a cork in the bottle a couple of positions ahead, as we've got another good run on a Guru Suzuki. Maybe the Constantina effect can help us gain the position up the inside of the Japanese driver. And can we make the place? We are up the inside and we are ahead of a Guru Suzuki, so that's now us up into 17th place as Jean Alesi begins to streak away at the front. Lap 4, we'll see if we can put the same move on the Ulsterman of Eddie Irvine. Up the inside possibly, he's left the space and we take it. Thank you very much, Eddie Irvine. That's us now up into 16th position. Hopefully we can have a good recovery drive here and possibly try and get ourselves back into the top 10 once again. Almost hitting the back of Pedro Lamy, not expecting the closing speed to be so drastic in towards turn 1. We'll try and set this move up out of the chicane this time round and maybe get the run into turn, I believe this is turn 8 and 9. Up the inside we go of the Portuguese podium sitter, and that's now us up into the top 15. We've also got a great run on Olivier Beretta in the Larousse. He seems to be on quite a heavy fuel load. We've got a brilliant run on him. Can we look towards the inside? We do look towards the inside. We get to the apex first and we take the position as well from Olivier Beretta. However, on the exit, Beretta, the Monegasque, seems to get a much better exit out of the corner. Let's see if he can put pressure on us or whether we can defend it. We have kind of just left the door open for Olivier Beretta to just squeak on through once again, and he does take that place. Beretta back up into 14th place. The Peugeot engine looking very feisty in these early stages. The Larousse is very fast in a straight line, it would seem. In the slipstream, we're barely gaining on the Monegasque, and as such we stay in 15th place for now, but it's only a futile effort from the Larousse driver. We try and look through at turn 5, look towards the inside of turn 6, and by the time we get to turn 7 we're once again ahead into 14th place, and hopefully that's the last time that we have to deal with Olivier Beretta in this Grand Prix. Next car ahead is Gianni Morbidelli in the footwork. We're making quick work of these lower midfield runners. By the end of lap 6, Jean-Marc Gounon seems to be in trouble. It's 2 races and it's 2 consecutive races where he is failing to classify. Over he goes. That was Heinz-Charles Frentzen clipping the back of the Frenchman, and Jean-Marc Gounon becomes the 3rd retirement of the Grand Prix. Let's see what happened. On board with David Coulthard. It's just an excessively desperate lunge there from Heinz-Charles Frentzen, and as such he cops himself a 10-second time penalty for his troubles. Gianni Morbidelli is just over a second ahead now. We're closing in on the Italian, but it's one thing to catch up, and it's another thing to overtake. We'll see if we can get it done into the hairpin. Not quite on lap 9. We're not close enough to send it up the inside. We are pulling away from Pedro Lamy though, which is good. Saying that, Johnny Herbert's now the car behind. He's now up into 15th position up the inside at the hairpin of Pedro Lamy, and he is making quick work as well of the back markers and the lower midfielders. Carl Wendlinger again with a brilliant run on Felipe Alio, is still stuck behind the McLaren driver. Can he look towards the inside at the hairpin? He's sent it from a long way back, but can the Austrian stop it in time? He can, and he's taken the position from Felipe Alio. That's a brilliant move there from my teammate Carl Wendlinger, and we now see once again a Sauber in the points paying positions. Felipe Alio though, he doesn't seem over and done with yet. He's looking towards the inside of the final chicane. Can he make the move back? There's contact between the two of them as they hop over the curbs at the chicane. Carl Wendlinger keeps the place and he moves up into 6th place, but he's got quite a way to even attempt to try and catch up to Michael Schumacher. The gap between 5th and 6th is about 30 seconds right now, so it looks like 6th place is the maximum that my teammate's going to be able to get in this Grand Prix unless the mechanical retirement's up ahead. Lap 10, and Johnny Herbert's all over the back of us already. He's about 2.5 to 3 seconds faster than us a lap. I think he's on a lighter fuel load, maybe a 3-stop strategy for the Briton. Halfway through lap 11, and there goes Gianni Morbidelli up the inside of Jyrki Järvelähtö. We've now all caught up to the Finn. As rather than trying to get past Järvelähtö, we need to see if we can defend from Herbert first. We decide it's not even worth defending, because look at the straight line speed of that McLaren and the brakes, the confidence under the brakes. He takes that place from us and we move back down to 15th position. Johnny Herbert quickly dispatches of Järvelähtö on the following lap as well, and he'll be quickly on the back of Gianni Morbidelli for his 12th position. Järvelähtö only a couple of tenths ahead now. See if we can get close in towards turn 2. We'll look towards the outside. We're going to run out of room there, and there's no way we're going completely around the outside of Järvelähtö unless he just leaves the door open. Round the outside at turn 1 instead. Don't mind if I do. Switches to the inside for turn 2, and that's a spectacular move on the Finn, and we move up into 14th position. That was an absolutely fantastic move. I was ecstatic with that one at the time, and it's a brilliant one to watch as well. Completely round the outside of Jyrki Järvelähtö, and we gain that place up into 14th place on lap 14. Get an onboard replay of it as well. I don't know why he's going defensive, to be completely honest, but I'm not complaining. A great move sees us up yet another position in this Grand Prix. We're now struggling for tyres a little bit in this race. We've been given the message actually for blistering on our tyres already, despite I feel like I've been fairly conservative with the use of my tyres, as we see a number of drivers into the pits, including my teammate. We now move up into 12th place as we get lapped by the leader Jean Alesi. Rubens Barrichello and Johnny Herbert battling for 10th. Oh, there's contact between the two of them. Barrichello is able to carry on, Herbert's able to carry on. That's a bit of a miraculous situation for both of them, that they're able to carry on without any fuss, as Jean Alesi, you probably would have seen in the background there, pits from the lead of the Grand Prix directly behind Johnny Herbert's McLaren. See if his teammate can take away his race lead. The Austrian now comes around the final corner. He's now also being hounded down by Ayrton Senna in the Williams. Berger takes first position in this Grand Prix, and Ayrton Senna will take second. Where does Jean Alesi come out in comparison? He's only a couple of seconds behind, so he already had a fantastic first stint to pull out about a 15-second gap ahead of his rivals, and now he's only a couple of seconds behind the race lead after his first pit stop. Lap 16 going into 17, and there goes Johnny Herbert into the box. We now move up into 11th place. Now being hounded though by Jyrki Järvelähtö. Round the outside goes the Finn. Oh, there's my teammate Carl Wendlinger as well. There was contact between the two of us. We now got the slipstream once again on Jyrki Järvelähtö, looking towards the outside for a second time in this Grand Prix of the Ligier driver, and we make that move up once again. Let's get a replay of what actually happened there, because I was completely caught unawares there by the Finn. He sent it down the inside, he's cut the chicane really, but as has my teammate, we just get back in the slipstream of Gilles Villeneuve. Focus, don't let all the chaos around you distract you, round the outside, and we keep our top 10 position in this Grand Prix. Get a replay of what happened with Carl Wendlinger. Looks like he just outbroke himself, he just cut the corner and made contact with us. So that's a bit strange there from both Gilles Villeneuve and Wendlinger, both former teammates at Sauber. He took Gilles Villeneuve's seat at the Swiss team. Maybe he's wanted to pay us back as we now head through the chicane once again. The tyres absolutely shot to pieces, and that's all that it took to spin us round, not even spin us round, but spin into the barriers, and hopefully we can get this one back to the pit lane. Let's get a replay of what happened. Really sensitive on the throttle as well. I mean, you can hear how much throttle I'm using. It feels like there's barely any wheel spin, but it's just enough to take the car round, and that's another spin in the collection. And as you can see there, I think the suspension's quite bent. I think we're going to have to retire the car, and that's exactly what we did on lap 19, pulling off at turn 4, and we are out of this race. Olivier Panis running up in the points following pit stops for several of the front runners, but it sounds like gearbox trouble is going to put pay to a possible return to the points for Olivier Panis. Let's get another hear of it. Coming down the back straight. Yep, that's definitely problems for Olivier Panis. Through goes Alio, through goes Brundle, and Panis is out of this race. Alesi up the inside of Ayrton Senna. That's probably why he sent it so hard. He realised that Senna was coming into the pit lane from second position. Yuki Avaleto now on the back of my teammate, who has gotten past the Finn in recent laps. Avaleto trying to find a way through on his ex-teammate. Is in the slipstream once again with Johnny Herbert not far behind as well. That's one of the Ligier. That's got to be Brundle coming out the pits. There's contact between Javaleto and Wendlinger. Fortunately for both of those drivers, that there is no damage for either one of them, as on 1/3 race distance we see that the race leader Gerhard Berger boxes from the lead. Jean Alesi as such will take the race lead, so Berger down to second. Ayrton Senna is in third ahead of his teammate Damon Hill. The top 5 basically as they were at the start of the race, in fact the top 7 as they were at the start of the race. Pedro Lamy has gained a lot of places. Vallejo as well has made a good start to this Grand Prix. Johnny Herbert though is already back up into the top 10 following his excursion on the opening lap. Eddie Irvine as well trying to make up for a very poor qualifying, although he's struggling to do so, only gaining 2 places so far in the opening stanza of this race. Rubens Barrichello though, his teammate, boxes from 7th position. He's looking good for some possible championship points today. Stopping on lap 24 means he's possibly on a 2-stop strategy. The Benetton of Mark Blundell will promptly take that position back from the Brazilian. Coming out the pit lane now, where will Barrichello re-emerge? It with 12th position behind both Ligiers, the McLaren and the Sauber of my teammate Carl Wendlinger. Oh, that's Ukyo Katayama at the side of the road. Let's see what happened. It's an engine failure into the hairpin. Beretta very nearly caught up in the crossfire there. And Ukyo Katayama, another embarrassing retirement really for Tyrrell. It's really a shame of how far fallen they are now. Ukyo Katayama, another Yamaha engine failure. And Ukyo Katayama is out of this race. His teammate Heinz-Harald Frentzen on the back of Olivier Beretta. A couple laps later though, Beretta's stomped off into the distance, so much so that Heinz-Harald Frentzen also has an engine failure. He is also out of the race. 2 Yamaha engine failures in as many laps, and it's a very embarrassing day at Tyrrell. Both cars out of the race. Johnny Herbert now on the back of my teammate for 8th position in this race. He's made a fantastic comeback so far in this race, and Herbert's up into 8th position now. Maybe Johnny Herbert can challenge for points in this Grand Prix. Maybe, just maybe, although the top 5 are quite far ahead, so maybe 6 is the most that Johnny Herbert can get in this Grand Prix. Either way, Damon Hill is in for what looks like possibly his second stop in this Grand Prix. His first stop was untelevised, but he comes out comfortably in 4th place, well ahead of Michael Schumacher. Quite strange to see the two championship protagonists, runaway championship protagonists, so far off the pace of the front 3, to be completely honest. Into the pits comes Mark Blundell for his second stop in this Grand Prix as well. He's in from 6th position. Johnny Herbert also follows him in to the pits. So it's going to be well, it's not really a battle between the pit crews, but either way, it's going to put my teammate Carl Wendlinger back up into the points at the halfway stage of this Grand Prix, up into 6th place now for my teammate Carl Wendlinger. Maybe this is the race where he scores his first points. Obviously, first 5 rounds, he hasn't actually even finished a race. Either way, for my teammate, he's into the pits for his second stop of the Grand Prix, so he's on a 3-stop strategy, is Wendlinger. Mark Blundell will retake his position in 6th place, and my teammate Wendlinger will come out somewhere in the fringes of the top 10, but it is looking like a good chance of my teammate scoring points today. Jean Alesi entering and exiting the pits, still in the race lead, so he's looking comfortable for a possible victory here today in front of the Canadian crowd. As there's Senna! Senna's off to the side of the road, and that's another retirement from my Ayrton Senna. A retirement from the podium places here in Canada. It looks like a brake failure for Ayrton Senna at the turn 6 and turn 7 chicane, and Ayrton Senna is out of this race. Lap 41, and Filipe Alliot has now been caught by his teammate Johnny Herbert. Such is the comeback drive of Johnny Herbert. Alliot just allows him to go straight through up into 8th position, and Herbert can now go and challenge for the points places. Damon Hill looking towards the inside of, that's Mark Blundell, who's a lap down on him. Oh, and Mark Blundell's rolled over. Is Mark Blundell out this race? I think he might be. Let's get a replay of what happened. Hill with a bit of an optimistic lunge there, and I think Mark Blundell is also out of this race. Just a lap after Ayrton Senna's brake failure, Damon Hill has received a 10-second time penalty for that collision with Mark Blundell, and as such, Johnny Herbert's now up into the points. He started in 9th, fell all the way down to 24th and last of the running order, and he's now up into 6th position on lap 42. A promising race for Rubens Barrichello. He had shot of points today, but unfortunately a suspension failure has put him out of commission on lap 43. Damon Hill is going very slow there. Through goes Suzuki and Wendlinger, and I think Damon Hill's also out of this race. Gearbox failure for the Briton means that it's going to be Michael Schumacher, I believe, onto the podium. It's been a very quiet race for the German. Here we are on board with Gerhard Berger in second. Is that smoke coming out the back of the Ferrari? It is smoke! That's smoke billowing out the back of the Austrian's car, and Gerhard Berger is also out of the race! That's unbelievable! Senna, Hill and Berger all out of this race. Podium contenders all retiring from this Grand Prix. That means that Filipe Alliot boxes from 5th position. A great chance of him scoring his first points since, well, it's got to be at least 4 or 5 years now for Filipe Alliot. As such, for my teammate as well, he's got a golden opportunity to score some points. He moves up into the top 5. So he's now got to pull out a gap ahead of Filipe Alliot. Gap is about currently 7 or 8 seconds between the pair of them. And we'll see if Carl Wendlinger can string together some good laps before he pits. Lap 46, and John Alesi leads now ahead of Michael Schumacher by almost a whole lap. Johnny Herbert's now up onto the podium after starting in, well, pretty much starting in last place. Carl Wendlinger's up to 4th, with Filipe Alliot 5th, Martin Brundle 6th. What on earth is this Grand Prix so far? 13 cars are left in this Grand Prix, following the string of retirements that we've just had. Jarvaleto also possibly challenging for points. He's up 8 places from his starting position. Pedro Lami's also up a huge amount. He's gone from 19th to 8th in this Grand Prix, but no one's gained more than Bertrand Gachot, 26th to 13th in this Grand Prix. Martin Brundle and Philippe Alliot dueling for 5th place in this Grand Prix. Brundle towards the inside at the hairpin. All this battling is allowing my teammate Carl Wendlinger to run away in currently 4th position. When he boxes, this could be a net 4th for my teammate, which could be valuable points in the constructor standings. There's Brundle off. Brundle's off. He's collected Philippe Alliot. Brundle's out. I think Alliot's carried on though. Let's see what happened on board with Philippe Alliot. He would have just been completely caught unawares there by Brundle. A brake failure, it seems, for the Ligier driver. Brundle's out the race. Fortunately for Philippe Alliot, he's able to carry on and possibly score some championship points today. Johnny Herbert into the box from 3rd position. Exiting the pits from 3rd position. And has he lost out to Carl Wendlinger? He has not. There's Carl Wendlinger behind the Ferrari, behind the Benetton. Wendlinger up in 4th, can't quite move up to 3rd. Obviously Wendlinger needs to stop again in this race, but is looking fantastic for my teammate in this Grand Prix. He's now about 15 seconds ahead of Philippe Alliot. Eddie Irvine's another driver stalking a chance at points until he retires. A suspension failure puts him out the race, and Pedro Lamy collects him in the chaos. He's also going to need a front wing and an unscheduled stop. Carl Wendlinger now pits from lap 54. Let's see if he has done enough to re-emerge in 4th position. It's going to be close between the two of them, I imagine. Philippe Alliot is barely got down the back straight, so maybe this has been enough for Carl Wendlinger. Coming out the pit lane now, and where is Wendlinger? Where is Alliot? Apologies. Out the pit lane comes Carl Wendlinger, and I think he has done it. He's overcut the McLaren. And Wendlinger is up into 4th position. So this has been a fantastic race for my teammate. There's Alliot about a couple seconds behind. Out the pits comes Pedro Lamy for, from his stop. And an engine failure is going to put a pay to a promising race, and a chance at points goes begging with a Mugen Honda engine failure. Lap 57, and Jean Alesi has now not just overtaken Schumacher for position, he has now lapped the German, so he's now a whole lap ahead of the entire field. Jean Alesi is now cruising to victory in this Grand Prix, but that smoke coming out the back of the Ferrari on lap 63, just 6 laps from the checkered flag. Will he be able to hold on? Will his engine be able to hold on as he exits the hairpin, and the engine's expired completely, and Jean Alesi retires with 6 laps remaining? This is unbelievable. Here at the Canadian Grand Prix, that means that Michael Schumacher is going to take the race lead, despite being a whole lap down on the current race leader. He's going to take the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix. Carl Wendlinger, as such, is onto the podium. This is absolute pandemonium for Sauber. Obviously never scored a podium in their history, as Michael Schumacher on lap 69 rounds the final corner for the final time. He's been absolutely nowhere all weekend, but he comes across the line to win the Canadian Grand Prix of 1994. And here comes my teammate now, Carl Wendlinger, to score his and Sauber's first podium in just 2 corners' time. He's just got a chicane to navigate until he takes a very famous podium. Oh, and that's Bertrand Gachot with a brake failure! And my teammate's been crashed into! And where is my teammate Carl Wendlinger? Can he get it turned around? Philippe Alliot's barreling down the back straight now. Can my teammate get it going? Down towards the line. Can Wendlinger score a podium without a front and a rear wing? I think he will. Wendlinger claims 3rd here in Canada. Let's see what happened with Bertrand Gachot. It's just a brake failure for him. Completely smashes into the back of my teammate, but fortunately my teammate still scores a podium, and that puts an end to an absolutely bonkers Canadian Grand Prix. So then Michael Schumacher claims victory here in Canada. A very unexpected one for him today. He wins by a whole lap ahead of Johnny Herbert. He went from last on the first lap all the way up to second. A fantastic drive to claim his first podium of his Formula 1 career. Another driver who claimed his first podium of his Formula 1 career is my teammate Carl Wendlinger. He secures his and the team's first ever podium in Formula 1. Philippe Alliot scores his first points since the opening round of the 1993 season, with Yuki Arvoleto and Gianni Morbidelli claiming valuable points for their respective teams of Ligier and Footwork. Aguri Suzuki just misses out, with Olivier Beretta, the last driver across the line. Bertrand Gachot and John Alesi both classified despite retiring. 10 drivers were classified and 16 failed to reach 90% race distance. Pedro Lamy was the latest of those with an engine failure. Shortly after Eddie Irvine's suspension failure, a lot of big names out in a handful of laps of each other. Gerhard Berger out with an engine failure, Damon Hill out with a gearbox failure, Rubens Barrichello with a suspension failure. He had a great chance of points today and finally get Jordan on the board, however he has been prevented from doing so. Blundell and Ayrton Senna also out of the race. Both the Tyrrells as well having engine failures within just a couple laps of each other, with ourselves retiring for the third time consecutively. Fittipaldi and Montemini also stalled on the grid, with Jean Alesi claiming fastest lap of a 1:18.904. What does this mean then for the Drivers' Championship? It means that we have a new championship leader in the form of Michael Schumacher. 2 consecutive victories now puts him 4 points clear of the Briton of Damon Hill in his Williams Renault. Gerhard Berger quite a way behind now, 17 points adrift, with none of the other top 5 in the championship scoring any points. Johnny Herbert now gets into the double digits for the season, with Carl Wendlinger moving up into the top 10 following his first points and his first finish and his first podium in this season. We move down to 13th place in the drivers' standings, with now 16 drivers scoring points in this season. Benetton get some valuable points over their rivals Williams and Ferrari. The gap at the top is now 12 points, 47 plays 35. Ferrari also a non-score in this Grand Prix. McLaren scoring a lot of championship points, 9 points to be exact, as they now sit 8 points clear of Ligier, with Sauber moving ahead of the Russe on countback. Lotus and Footwork have also scored points, with 9 teams scoring a top 6 finish in the opening 6 rounds. Thank you for watching all the way to the end of the 1994 Canadian Grand Prix. Another chaotic race and another twist in the tale of this 1994 season. If you haven't already and you enjoy the content, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and if you want to support the channel further, make sure to check out YouTube channel memberships. Next time we'll be flying back over the Atlantic Ocean for the French Grand Prix at Manicourt. I can't wait to see you there for next week's episode. Goodbye.